I'm Brian Foster, and this is the Grindhouse Institute's Midnight Movie. On each of these episodes, Jeremy Floyd and I examine one movie worthy of the coveted midnight movie showtime. We're happy you could join us for today's chat on Straight Time. On our long journey to finally see Heat and discuss it on our show, we're going to be taking a look at some early works from Michael Mann. His research and work on early drafts of this script helped inform many of his seminal works. This episode will have us getting released from prison, busting jewelry stores, robbing banks, and bear-hugging our wheelman along the gritty streets of LA. After 6 years in the pen, Max Denbo is released and determined to go straight. But a hard-nosed parole officer, circumstances, and his friends make it easier said than done. Dustin Hoffman, who directed the movie for about a day, stars alongside Gary Busey, Harry Dean Stanton, Kathy Bates, and M. Emmett Walsh in Ulu Grossbard's Straight Time from 1978. Thank you for listening to the Grindhouse Institute's Midnight Movie. Please enjoy.
Now, you understand the conditions of your parole.
It all boils down to the fact that I got to get along with you. You're going to throw me back in jail.
That's it in a nutshell.
Welcome back to the Grindhouse Institute's Midnight Movie. I'm Brian Foster, and with me as always is Jeremy Floyd. Hello, and how are you?
Brian, I'd kiss you, but you're too ugly.
Well, I'd kiss you anyway.
Yeah. That wouldn't stop you.
Today we're doing another midnight movie where we talk about one film. This film today, we have a special guest talking about it with us today. And Jeremy, could you please do the introduction?
Yeah, it's been kind of a long time coming, but as this movie kind of like was elemental to Michael Mann, and as much of a fan as this person is of Michael Mann, we had to bring him back. Please welcome Patrick Cady.
I'm so happy to be here, and I have no witty, I kiss you comment.
But welcome back.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
I was sitting there struggling. I was like, God, I only wrote one line down. All right, well, I'll have to use that.
So we're talking the movie Straight Time today from 1978, starring Dustin Hoffman. I guess since it's not really credited, unless you did the research on it, could you explain the connection to Michael Mann so we could probably...
Yeah. So this is earlier in Michael Mann's career. You know, he was doing a lot of writing and, particularly made-for-TV movies and things like that. And it seems like he had some work on this one. I don't know if it was either just cleaning up dialogue or like an earlier draft that they didn't end up going with. But in any case, he wasn't credited. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to bring Patrick on for was, or that maybe think of it in the first place, was that like last time we were all together on this show, Patrick, you brought up how much of a fan you are of the cinematographer of this movie, Owen Roizman.
The fabulous Owen Roizman.
Yeah.
Oft-nominated. He finally got a special Oscar for his contribution to the art form a couple years ago.
Oh, was that like a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Yeah, exactly. He was nominated for 5 times and never won.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up the cinematography in this, and from your perspective, Patrick, because I thought it was great. It felt real, and it was also very cinematic at the same time, which I think is a really tough line to balance.
It's where myself and a bunch of my compatriots who are all around the same age are all after that exact thing. Like, even if you think of, even though I wouldn't think of Roger Deakins when I see a movie that's as gritty as this, but even in his work, it's kind of like, he just always gets lucky, But with Owen, it's like...
It's weird how he keeps getting lucky every single time.
He keeps getting lucky like that in every single frame. And I feel like with Owen, it's like, he just keeps getting lucky in grungy cities. Like, fluorescent green somehow works all the time. And his beauty lighting, too, which you think of 3 Days of the Condor. And I don't think a lot of people would initially think of Owen as someone who lights beauty, but I think with Owen, when he lights beauty, it's just the same thing. People naturally just look fantastic, and it doesn't look like he's doing anything to get it.
Right. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen it, but he also shot The Addams Family and the early '90s one, the Barry Sonnenfeld Addams Family, and a lot of that look is like the really fancy and handsome version versus the sort of gritty, Exorcist, French Connection. Network those days,
Well, that's what's so interesting is you see his career go, and it starts going between these two forms, and it's almost like he didn't get a chance to show off I can do a big budget polished look too.
Yeah.
But working for a previous director of photography, right? Wasn't Sonnenfeld a DP for? And then he's got that more
Coen
style.
Brothers.
I'm sorry.
I said for the Coen brothers.
Coen Brothers.
So yeah, and he's got that real stylized, a lot of like bloomy lights, especially with Morticia, those kinds of beauty lights. So it was interesting that he was able to still translate, a director who became a director of photography, their vision, using his lens, So that's interesting.
That's true. I guess Owen was kind of aping the Sonnenfeld style.
Right.
Yeah.
Successful.
But speaking of beauty roles, Teresa Russell, one of the 100 sexiest women in film history, who was in Black Widow later on. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but it's a classic. But anyway, I think that kind of lends to the beauty lighting that you're talking about there. But also at the same time, she never really looked like, and I think that this is all part of direction with the film and how the film was, portrayed, is that she wasn't really made up. And she always looked very plain. Beautiful, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, this felt like we were almost a fly on the wall this whole time watching these people have these conversations. And I never felt like I was fully watching a movie, I guess, or I lost myself in it, which I think is just pure success.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that was what they're going for. That kind of like, I don't know, almost slice of life. I mean, I kept getting,
in a way.
The feeling of, like Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
Especially during that maybe the Heat 1.0 bank robbery scene.
Yeah.
That kind of felt a little like
because it was a one shot, right? Wasn't it only a wide from the back of the store, and it was just Hoffman walking in and starts breaking, at least for a long part of that.
The jewelry store?
Yeah, the jewelry
Yeah,
theft.
they hang on that wide shot for a long time.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of the other one.
You were thinking of the actual bank robbery.
The bank robbery, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, like, that was also interesting, like how they would play a lot of things in these long takes. I mean, when we first meet Harry Dean Stanton, it's just that shot right there by the pool.
By the pool, yeah.
Freaking
sitting
love
in
that scene.
Little,
quite a nice house too. He had to be throwing it away on crime.
He had it all figured out. He's in the valley. It's cheap.
Yeah, but he's
right?
bored.
But he was bored. He wanted to go back into the thieving world.
Yeah.
Dying here, whatever he says. So
Exactly.
It's like, hey, babe, can you get me some beers? Help me get me out of
Yeah,
here.
get me a job. I know you got something for me.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. They're killing me. I can't make this scene anymore. Get me out of here.
That initial scene with Gary Busey and Kathy Bates, that is such a perfectly directed scene.
And Jake Busey, by the way.
Yeah.
That's right. His
Jake
real
Busey.
son.
Yeah.
Getting abused by his dad on screen.
Well, he actually he gave his dad a left hook that sucker punched him in the face, and I think that was real anger there. He's like, "Don't punch me."
Oh no, that
scene. When I'm
scene.
not
There's a
looking.
reason there's no cuts, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
He's apologizing at the end. They're still rolling camera.
Yeah.
Everyone's, okay, we're gonna print this one. We'll move on.
I think we can move on.
Good luck with your family.
Yeah.
Definite inspiration for a lot of films we've had or talked about on this show. Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, early Tarantino. I think the hallway scenes alone all feel like that, especially when they're in the apartment buildings and there's that exterior light that's just kind of, I mean, it looks like everyone's almost in silhouette walking down the hallways. That felt like that opening scene in Pulp Fiction when Jules and Vincent are walking to go take out those guys at the beginning.
Let's get in the character.
Also, Jackie Brown. It felt very Jackie Brown to me, especially. I thought Denbo felt like Robert De Niro's character in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of his wardrobe even is correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jacket.
Those like open collared stuff.
What happened to you, man? You used to be beautiful.
What the fuck happened to you, man? Your ass used to be beautiful.
When you're watching this movie and you're watching Dustin Hoffman playing this tough guy, and you know that Michael Mann was involved in the script, there's at least one moment where you're like, well, who else could have done this role? Hoffman's very, very good in it, but it's inevitable that he's going to not win, that he's going to get caught, because he seems so much to be playing the part of a tough guy without actually being a tough guy.
You mean his performance?
To me, yeah. Well, and I don't know if it's just because we bring all this history of what Dustin Hoffman as an actor is. If he'd stayed on this track, we might not even question this this part at this time, right? It's impossible for us to watch it as if we haven't seen everything he does afterwards.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not as if his career was shaped like De Niro or something where he's always playing a badass or something.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, especially this time, like, okay, what do people know him from? The Graduate,
right?
Marathon Man, maybe. I don't know.
Is Marathon Man before this?
Quick IMDb. Yeah, Marathon Man was before this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's interesting where the audiences are, and that's probably why he's dying to get this made and to direct it himself, right? It's going to add another really big layer to what people think of him as.
But he gave up the directing duties in quite early in the production.
After day one, based on some of the stuff I read.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it sounds like there was a lot to this role, and I think he was doing a lot of research, mostly method-type research, I guess, if you will, following people in Folsom Prison. And Edward Eddie Bunker, the writer of the book, he was obviously
Mr. Blue?
Exactly, Mr. Blue, who was, I guess, at one time the youngest convict in San Quentin prison. That's like what he can hang his hat on. But he became, or he had to follow him around and shadow him and different prisoners and things like that. So I think that there was a lot to go into that with trying to also direct. That might have been a bit too much on your plate.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm guessing at some point, you start prepping and you're realizing, like, wait, I need to spend all day figuring out the shots, scouting everything, talking to everyone about what they want me to do, and get ready to play this part. And I mean, how smart for someone at that point in their career of just, he must have felt like he could have done anything at that point, right?
Sure.
Yeah. To be aware enough to go, I'm going to call an old friend of mine who I know will not drive me crazy as a director and bring him in.
Right.
Ready to make a move?
Mm-hmm. You got something you want to run by me?
I got a sweet poker game out there in the valley you might be interested in.
Sounds good. What's it good for?
15 or 20 big ones.
That much? Any gun?
Just some fat-ass old men, man. They all got pacemakers that'll short-circuit when you charge through the door.
Yeah, so wait, what was the other Ulu Grossbard?
Who is Harry Kellerman, and why is he saying those terrible things about me?
Okay.
That's literally the title of the film, yeah. It's quite a long
Dustin
title.
Hoffman's in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was like their
so that
first.
fit on a marquee, huh?
Really long font.
Come on, Max, just between you and me, This doesn't go any further. Who was it shot up in your room?
I just can't tell you that.
Max, that's bullshit. You can't trust me. I mean, what the hell? I'm just wasting gas, right?
I don't want you to waste your gas.
You tell me who it was.
But I guess I didn't read too much about that relationship. But Brian, you were saying that they were.
Yeah, it sounds like they were good friends. Hoffman was going to direct this one. He instead wanted to act and thought it was taking on too much. So he said, "Hey, Ulu, why don't you take this on and direct this one since we worked together before?" And I think Hoffman, according to some IMDb trivia, he tried to take too much control back and didn't allow his friend to actually direct the film. So I guess their friendship might have fizzled a little bit from this one, but who knows if that's true.
It's like the Kirk Douglas Kubrick relationship. They're like, oh yeah, we did a movie together. Why don't we bring him on? And then he starts taking over Spartacus. And we're like, wait a second. I thought this was my movie. I'm Kirk Douglas.
There's a story with that too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Same bit.
Yeah, don't you know who I am? Don't you know I got you the movie? In return for that, you're supposed to do what I want.
Yeah.
Kubrick's like, yeah, but don't you know who I am? Yeah. No.
Don't you know who I'm going to become?
Yeah, don't you know who I'm going to be? Yeah.
The most interesting part of directing is the moment when you're all on set, because all of your prep can lose to a better idea from an actor.
That's a great call. Yeah.
Right. So you can be all ready for something to happen, and the most dangerous thing you can do for the film in reality is to walk in and say, okay, this is exactly what we're going to do, because unless you're someone like Kubrick, where it is gonna be that, right? There's the last stage of the collaboration is the actors bringing what they think the characters would do into the scene, and there's all these ways you can kind of help guide what's going to happen most of it business based, right? Like if I tell you, well, you're going to set the table for dinner, and then I talk to the production designer about where the plates go, now I can figure out where the shots are going to be, most likely, right? But if I don't, and if I don't have a plan, and I think like, oh, well, we'll just come in and we'll figure it out, your crew is going to go out of their minds.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
It's going to be a mutiny. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
the mutiny. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because some actors want you to give them that structure, and some actors don't, and everyone has this different level of notes that they want to get. But I would imagine Hoffman and all the work that he did for this part, it's got to come down to like, well, I think he would do this, and I've done all this homework, so he's going to do this,
Right.
And then you got to roll with that.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, what happens when the director disagrees? Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that can happen with any other powerful entity, a star or a producer or whatever else. But yeah, I guess in this case, because it was really his project, and he kind of brought all of the money and the everything together, the name above the title, to like get the whole thing made. It's like, okay, well, he has sort of an outsized opinion on that.
Yeah, and who knows how easy or hard that was to negotiate. If they stopped being friends, we know how hard it was to negotiate that.
That answers that.
Figured that out.
If they stay friends and keep working, it's okay, well, it works out.
Yeah.
I wanted to also point out the production designer is Stephen Grimes, who goes on to do some small movies like Out of Africa, Crawl, and On Golden Pond.
Wow.
An Urban Cowboy, which makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, like maybe
not Midnight Cowboy, Urban Cowboy.
Yeah.
I actually
that wouldn't be a going on. Yeah, that would be going back. Oh yeah. God, yeah. Midnight Cowboy.
Because Midnight Cowboy was Hoffman, right? Urban
I
Cowboy was.
I thought it was. I had my wires crossed there. I saw Cowboy, and I was like, oh, then he went on. Oh no, it's not. It's But yeah. To then go on and do Out of Africa. Holy cannoli.
I think Emmett Walsh was in Midnight Cowboy. And
there
then
you
he
go.
had a bigger
Nice.
role in this one. There you go. We'll
Was
bring
he
it all
really?
back.
In Midnight
Connection.
Cowboy? Wow.
I think so. I thought I read that. But wow, what a racist bigot he was in this movie, huh? What a nasty cop. Or parole officer, whatever that. I guess he was a parole officer, huh?
He nailed his audition for Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was the same role, right?
Got a couple skin jobs for you.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I know why he was able to do that part so well.
Yeah.
God, that scene when he finds the matches already, the book of matches burnt up, and he knew that someone got their fix in the room, and he was going through his arms and let me do my job, and immediately slapped the cuffs on him. And it was like after he just told him he was like he had to be somewhere in a half an hour and stuff, and I'm like, when are you not an when are you an ex-convict? Why are you still a convict?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like he could have done as much time, 6 years, I think he said, or 9 years, whatever that number was. But that was the sentence he was given. He did the time, and now he's still in prison, right? So
well, that is supposedly what the title refers to, which is that like, if you get out on parole, that's some other type of serving time. But if you serve your sentence all the way through to the end, and then you can walk out and be free without any check-ins or halfway houses or whatever, that's straight time. Now, that's not what Dustin Hoffman had in this movie.
No.
But that's what he wanted. It sounded like, it's like,
right,
I'm gonna,
he wanted to see the lights.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole thing was that, like, yeah, you're right. Like, Brian, we were seeing him try to go straight until it was just like, okay, well, Emmett Walsh showed him which side his butter's breaded on.
Until they got into the rear projection car scene and put themselves and Dustin Hoffman shackled into the fence and pulled his pants down.
How nuts was that car thing? It was like
the car's
shredding up the side of the freeway, and like
there was a shot like kind of them sideways.
It's like he's gonna roll that thing.
I thought they were gonna.
That was so nuts. Well, and it was right at that moment I was like, okay, is he gonna be able to talk his way out of this thing? Because the entire relationship with Emmett Walsh is like you're seeing, up to that point you're seeing how he's trying to negotiate with this guy who's bullying the shit out of him, and you're thinking in that moment, as soon as he grabbed the wheel, I was like, oh shit, yeah. There's sort of like, okay, well, there's only one way this can go.
I thought it was a dream. I thought it was like in his head that he was doing that, and then they were going to cut to him just sitting in the car still,
like taking it, yeah, exactly, like versus what he wanted to do.
But nope,
no.
And then from that time on, he's on the run, right? He's basically kind of in this.
He's running out to see Jack Klompus, get his astronaut
Take
pen.
The pen. Take the pen.
Sandy Jack Barron. Klompus can sell him any guns. Yeah.
When I saw him, Chrissy and I were watching it, my wife, and she goes, "Hey, that's the guy from Seinfeld." Yeah. I'm like, I knew that's who that was. Take the pen.
You like
Jerry.
the pen? Take the pen, Jerry.
Take the pen.
He practically begged me for the pen.
Take the pen.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
I couldn't.
Come on, take the pen.
I can't take it.
Do me a personal favor.
No, I'm not
take
comfortable.
The pen.
I cannot take it.
Take the pen.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
But
that's great.
Okay, so the reason he wanted the guns was was after meeting Eddie Bunker for his cameo in the bar there.
Yep.
Which, this is for Patrick, not for you, Brian. You're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But it's like when they met with Eddie Bunker, it was like he was sort of like the Wayne Grow 1.0. It really reminded me of that scene where Wayne Grow goes to the bar afterwards. He's like, I'm just a cowboy looking for some action out here, or whatever. And
that guy from LA Takedown?
Yeah, the same character from LA Takedown.
Yeah. I've got some sort of Heat point of reference.
I cannot wait to be part of your Heat viewing.
Yeah, we need to make that happen.
Oh my gosh,
for sure.
I gotta see if I can get a print of it somehow. That would be phenomenal.
And I'm sure this is another Heat thing, but that I can't really speak to. But I'm going to try the relationship between Jenny and Denbo. It really felt like the lead detective in LA Takedown and his it was kind of that.
Or what it would be is like the
De Niro.
The De Niro part.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. There was a lot of that in there, and that's also part of the reason why it's like, I don't know exactly what Michael Mann's contribution was to this movie.
He carried it around though,
but he took it with him. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, because that's also the sort of James Caan Tuesday Weld relationship in Thief, and the Amy Brenneman and Robert De Niro in Heat, and like that whole dynamic. Like I mentioned earlier, the bank robbery thing. A lot, like just the look of that bank too.
Oh yeah. Well, it's California. That's the thing that's so interesting is you're seeing Los Angeles as Los Angeles,
right? On location.
And that's what was so interesting. The very first time I ever saw this, it was just, I don't even know if I knew that I was going to watch this movie. I think I clicked over on a cable channel one time, and the opening credits were coming up
with the Night Court theme.
Yeah, but it was the opening images, and I was watching it, and I was like, what the heck? And then it was all this night stuff with Dustin Hoffman. I'm like, this really looks like Owen. Like, I said that to myself. And then when his name came up on the credits, I gave myself like that touchdown. And it was those night exteriors, like when he's getting he almost steals the hot dog, right?
Yeah.
And
okay, buddy, 60 cents.
Hey. And then he leaves him a giant tip of 40 cents. And I was like, oh, it is, but it's Los Angeles. So that was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
To take that French Connection look and drag it into LA, and then the dealing with the daylight of it all. And I think that's something that Heat is maybe, before Heat, I don't know how much gangster movies you see in LA after film noir, really.
That's a good question. Yeah,
not gangster.
Walter Hill that did The Driver.
Oh, right.
And that's set in LA.
Right.
Oh, I thought that was San Francisco.
Bullets, San Francisco.
That was the other one we did. 48 Hours was San Francisco, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Bullets, San Francisco. Dirty Harry's all San Francisco.
Yeah, but no, it is definitely few and far between, and you're right. Like Mann definitely planted LA's flag on that one. Yeah.
I'm going to take this and put it in my pocket, and I would have done it this way, and then we get to see how he would have done it.
exactly. If I were doing Straight Time with $100 million budget and
a decade and a half later or whatever.
Right.
The other thing I want to talk about as far as the look of the movie was that, so we see all this night exterior. The prison's got a kind of color that, it's the exterior, so but they still kind of make it a little green. And then there's all this night fluorescent, night at that time, you get a lot of fluorescent green. And then what do you know? The hotel room, all the walls are this like yellow green color. So when he comes in and he's getting his arm checked, he's against the same color as like the bars from the prison. And those things.
Great call.
Those are all intentional, right? All those calls are intentional. Like, oh, this feels horrible. Let's shoot here.
Clean sheets? No.
Oh my God, that's so good, that line.
Yeah. Well, and then you're like, what the hell? Like, does Gary Busey have under his arm? What is he bringing that plank in? What the fuck is that?
The board,
and like,
right?
it was there to like make the bed sleepable or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
The spring was just like too like blown out and messed up.
I couldn't figure that out early or either at the beginning of that. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Like, did he just find that? Carried it in?
They do that a bunch in this movie where there's a lot of like, you don't know what you're looking at, like or why it's there or whatever, and then like it suddenly becomes clearer and clearer. And sticking with the look for a second, that right before Emmett Walsh surprises him with a home visit, Dustin Hoffman is walking down that hallway, and the hallway is just completely black, and that there's a light at the end of the hallway that's sort of lighting up the walls, kind of like, it's like the Third Man style, down that tunnel. And he's talking to the kids playing in the hallway and whatever, but there's just like such like a feel and like a texture of LA, and that is definitely something that early Tarantino, like his first three films, like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, all set in LA.
Yep.
And all, it was before Tarantino like took off into his own magical land that only exists in his head, and where his like movies were still set in planet Earth, and like he really like captures that same look and feel, and I feel like this movie definitely had to have had an influence on him.
Oh, for sure. Sense. Yeah.
But are you sure he saw it? I mean, he didn't watch many movies before he started making movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was such an obscure film. I'm sure he's never heard of it.
Yeah. And he just happened to cast Eddie Bunker because he was the best one on the audition. Exactly. It had nothing to do with this movie, I'm sure.
Yeah. Not at all a nod to this movie. So good.
I mean, speaking of that, I mean, do you feel like the jewelry store theft is kind of what we don't see in Reservoir Dogs? I guess minus the Mr. Blonde slaughter, obviously.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like we actually see the robbery.
It wasn't just City on Fire. It was,
right.
Was also this. Yeah.
He stole a shitload. Yeah.
And it wasn't just the other Owen Roisman shot, Taking It Pelham 1, 2, 3. It was also Straight Time.
I love Pelham.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. The best ending. So good.
It's awesome. Thank you. We had a bit of an argument about that on a previous show that
really?
Wasn't a great ending. But
Evan,
no, it's
I love
fantastic.
you, but
I think it's brilliant.
You're dead wrong about that.
Wait, who doesn't like it and who likes it?
Yeah. I need names, and I need...
Jeremy and I agreed that it was a great end. You mean the Walter Matthau smile, right? Like that's
yeah. Gesundheit.
Through the door, right? The angle is really good. Like the way they shoot him through the door. Yeah, it's so good.
And you just needed that. You needed that guy who could pull that off. I mean, it's just like I don't know. There's like 2 or 3 people who could have done that.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
And the getaway scene in daylight. Love that.
Yes,
and
yes.
Catherine Bigelow has a little tribute in here, right? They're starting to run around, and he runs right into he almost opens a door into a dog, right? A dog gives him a big scare.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look, it's the dead President Chase.
Wait, are you talking about Point Break?
Point Break.
I'm talking about Point Break, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, the other thing, and maybe this is like, did you guys ever see Destroyer?
Yeah.
Patrick,
It's
you're
directed by my
familiar
friend
with your
Kusama.
buddy. Yeah. The director on that one. Sort of 3/4 of the way through the movie, there's a bank robbery scene. And, man, does that bank look so much like the bank that they rob in Straight Time. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
I saw Destroyer in the theater, whenever it came out, was that 2018, 2019, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And that scene in particular, like, really, really kind of stuck with me. But, like, so when I saw it again in Straight Time, which, I hadn't seen since I was, like, in high school, I was like, whoa, I really bet that Destroyer had a little influence to that one.
I'm gonna email her and find out.
Yeah, okay.
I will.
We'll have to follow up on that one.
Karen Kusama. Yeah.
This movie has an amazing cast. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Destroyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So Karen and Patrick worked together on Girl Fight back in the day.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. I'm a fan.
I think she's done a few trailers from Hell, right? I think she's been introduced
really?
a few trailers. Yeah, I think so. And I just watched the Josh Olson one about this movie, Straight Time.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Olson is amazing.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun on that show in particular.
Yeah.
Also, his podcast. Love that one. But yeah, the other thing that I thought was so nuts was like, okay, going back to the Jack Klompus thing. So he, I forgot to finish that point, but like, Dustin Hoffman goes to like buy the guns from that guy because what they're going to do is rip off this poker game. And it was some illegal poker game.
It's an easy score, yeah.
Bunch of old guys playing cards. Yeah.
They can't go to the cops. The whole thing.
Yeah, because they are cops, right?
Or is that what that was?
Or maybe they were affiliated. There was something.
I think because it's illegal.
Yeah.
Is it something else?
Yeah.
I just thought it was because it was illegal.
Possibly.
Well,
yeah.
and it was kind of high stakes, and so possibly the people there
40 grand
ill-gotten cash, yeah. And and while they were staking it out, right before they go into it, man, that location. It reminded me of another thing. Patrick you and I were talking over the weekend, and this just happened to come up. And then that night, I ended up watching this movie, and it really reminded me of that. So the inciting incident of the movie Killing Them Softly is people robbing a poker game like that, like an illegal poker game. Huh. And it's in like a kind of like a hotel like space, and man, like it never happened in Straight Time, but that like they sort of imagine what that would have happened in Killing Them Softly.
Cool.
That was based on our discussion of Greg Fraser and some of the things that he had shot or whatever.
Yeah.
And that movie too has a lot of owes a little bit to Straight Time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're making an LA noir or anything like it, you're gonna have to. The movie has to be on your list.
Right.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's the coverage and the way that night stuff looks. What's interesting is the one other thing I wanted to point out about the lighting is there are a bunch of us out in the world now bringing our own ugly lights bought from hardware stores and mounting them to the poles of these brand new LED lights and turning off the nice LED lights so we can still have something interesting happen at night. Because
right.
especially in Los Angeles, we had this issue with Bosch was the night started changing. And so we started hauling around high pressure metal halide and mercury vapor and sodium vapor lights from hardware stores and run by all kinds of things and rigged onto the light poles, just to add some color that makes you think of this time period instead of the modern time period.
These night exteriors felt like Terminator to me. They felt cold and dark.
It's the same. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Wait, so how much did you guys get Terminator 1 out of the ending of this movie when he's like driving away?
Totally.
It felt just like nice hustle, kid, and like she's like driving down that road.
He says a storm is coming.
Exactly.
What do you guys think of the ending of this? I thought that it reminded me of the ending of Daniel. However, the montage was successful, And the montage in this one was just images of mug shots of him like decade after decade. And it was like going back to when, I think in the 60s when he was a young kid. And it was like probably his first time getting picked up, right? And I thought that it was a nice way to show that this is just a cycle that's going to continue. This is in this guy's blood. He's going to continue to cause this. I think he even says chaos, right? He says he's going to do that. So this is like kind of where he's at, as opposed to Daniel, where it was like kind of, I don't know what they were trying to, like, if there was some sort of hope to that or anything.
I think they were shooting for like kind of a hope that like, okay, well, here's the next wave of, political movements or something, but it wasn't, kind of landing on, at least for me. And
this one was pretty clear,
you and
right?
Too. But yeah, this again, sorry, Brian. This one definitely the ending. Yeah, fingers in the ears, please. The ending is very much heat. It's like just real quick. I got to make a stop to talk to Wayne Grow real quick.
Yeah,
and although it's kind of flipped on its head in this one, where
what he says he's going to get caught is just heartbreaking.
Because he sends Jenny back on the bus, right, and he's like, I'm done. It's either you're going to get caught with me or you better go home to your regular life.
Yeah, exactly. And for him, like, I feel like audience-wise, everyone's kind of with him or whatever. There's that really kind of snooty and shitty Beverly Hills, a jewelry store, and you didn't mind them getting knocked off that much.
Everything in there was like $9,000. Like the lowest price in that place was out of price. I'm like, come on.
But it's
like 1978.
I know, that's what I was saying. I was like, are you serious with these prices, man? Jesus. Those things must be over $100,000 now for a necklace.
And it's like, there are all these like other little moments where, he tries to go straight. He can't do it. And like, so he's like sort of condemned to sort of stay in this life, which, he's trying to do the best way he can. But then, he like, I don't know, crosses a different kind of line with the Gary Busey story at the end there. And it's pretty brutal. And he goes out of his way to do it too.
Yeah.
That made me think of Heat for sure.
Yeah.
Also bringing back the bear hug, because it was a very friendly bear hug at the beginning when he's like, get your dad on. It's the guy that wants to give him a bear hug. And then it's like, give me a bear hug. And then you hear the gun click and go off.
Yeah. And it's one of those moments where you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were supposed to like this guy.
Yeah. Right. And he goes off on the run and I guess, it is the right thing to do. Oh my. Okay. Hold on. Also, just in terms of influences, let me make sure my timeline's correct here. Probably not. No, it's not. The other way around. So that diner at the end there, it felt so much like
Jack
Duel.
Nicholson.
Duel. Where it's like, Dennis Weaver goes off to like, like he thinks he has a respite from the truck that's trying to kill him, and there's something about just the way that. Everything's sort of dusty and run down, and that diner in the middle of nowhere. It really felt like Duel. But he sends Teresa Russell back, and it's like okay, I think this is as far as you're going to be able to go. It's like this isn't going to be like Bonnie and Clyde here.
No,
she can still get out of this. But
minus the sweet Mustang.
Yeah.
Pretty rad car, man.
I'm going to take your car, though, okay? Cool.
Okay, honey. What?
Was everyone, like, at that time, like, so okay loaning cars out? Because I don't really, like, without, like, knowing where someone's going, I don't say, here's the keys.
There's a pretty free and easy approach to the cars in this movie, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe things weren't as litigious back then. I don't know. But, He okay, so he takes a car, but sends her back, and like you were saying with that final montage of mug shots just going back in time. It's like it's almost like the Michael T. Williamson line in Heat, "Fucked for life," And it's like, that's exactly what it kind of felt like with the Dustin Hoffman thing. And it's like
he's just fucked for life. You mean? Like,
it's just like there's no way out of that cycle. And
but he, like you said, he tried to go straight. It just didn't work. He was in that canning job or that canning company, but. That was like a prison in itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that
you can't even hear the guy talking to him when you're walking. It's just the sounds of the machines.
Shot's amazing. It's one shot.
Yeah,
it's so smart. It
was really awesome.
And I went to the end, and his first mugshot is 1954.
Right? Yeah. It was. He was very young. Yeah, it was like what he was picked up when he was like 13 or something. You know, like.
Because it comes up. It's early in the dialogue, right? They talk about it.
Yeah. I remember Walsh slams down his file. It's like, well, there's lots of stuff here. Carjacking.
I'm going to fuck with you for the whole movie.
Yeah.
And you take out your landlady's garbage.
Mr. Anderson. Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like when he pulled out the big file. So I was reading through, and it sounds like, and I don't think the title of the movie would have stuck, but the book had a whole section before Dembo even gets out of prison. And it was kind of like him running the show, more or less. You know, he kind of had his whole thing in there. He was kind of the leader of whoever was in there, and he was making money. Or
I'm the guy who can get it for you.
Yeah, but when he gets out, then you start seeing exactly like how much he doesn't have.
What a massive power shift it is for him.
Exactly. But I don't think this movie would have been called Straight Time. I bet the original title of the book would probably have worked better in that case. However, Straight Time is really where this starts, is once he starts on his straight time journey moving forward. But I thought it was interesting that, a movie adaptation obviously cut out a bunch of that book. But it probably was for good reason.
You get a little taste of that when he has to go back to jail. So
enough
quickly.
Taste, I think, too.
Yeah. And I think
when he claims his cot and...
Yeah, right. He knows the game, right? He knows how you do that. Yeah.
I was just here, guys. I know how to do this one. Yeah.
Got this, yeah.
Totally. And for that adaptation, though, that is interesting to hear that, but I feel like it is something where, for the adaptation, you do need to have it stay focused on, like, this is the time after the jail. You know what I mean? Yeah. There is something interesting, and also just like with the very literary title of No Beast So Fierce, which is what the book was called. Yeah. That sounds like a different experience altogether than this movie about a guy leaving prison, trying to go straight, can't go straight, has to go right back into it. And like the sort of journey that he takes, getting out of LA essentially. Yeah. It's where we're left with it on this one. It's interesting too because it's not as if we get a full-on resolution on this one the way that we do on in some of the other Michael Mann works, and it even has a little bit of that thief feeling where it's like he has to push away everyone in his life or whatever to be able to take on this fierce beast persona. But where we're left at the very end, I mean, it does kind of give you that sort of nihilistic feeling of like, yeah, he's just hosed. But like, other than that sort of feeling, like, I mean, the like resolution here, it isn't necessarily there. I mean, you can game it out in your head. Like, yeah, it's not like he's going to be able to retire somewhere. He's not even going to be able to pull the whole Harry Dean Stanton thing. I mean, he shot a cop on the way out of run away from the bank. He blew away his friend. And it's like, it's like there's sort of only one way.
Yeah,
this
the one
is
person
go.
he went to right after getting out of jail.
Yeah, that was his one friend. I mean, well, I guess Harry Dean, but Harry Dean was dead by that point. But he didn't have much. He didn't have many friends. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And he had nothing by the end of it.
Well, he left the number as one ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I love movies from the 70s, and I think it's because so many of them are noirs via the French New Wave, right? Like that. Yeah. That's what we get is we get film noir. We get film noir. It gets cleaned up because of the Hays Code. Goes around it. Mm-hmm. Then French and Italian filmmakers like, hey, what if there wasn't a Hays Code?
Yeah, I was about to say that the Italian neorealism too, that whole thing.
Yeah, like let's have something cheerful like the 400 Blows or Bicycle Thief.
Yeah,
and all these young American filmmakers just love that and they bring it back, and so we get this kind of polished. The story is over as soon as what we are hoping for the main character either does or more likely doesn't not happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And as soon as it doesn't happen, the movie is over.
Right.
It makes me think of I'm a big fan of John Sayles' Limbo because of the way it ends. And I once told him like, oh, I love the way that movie ends. And he was like, oh, you're the one. I was like, well, because the story is about these people. Can they become essentially a family or not? Not will they all be killed by the people looking for this guy? And the movie ends when the main question gets answered. It does not end when the other question is, how long will they get to stay a family?
Yeah.
And it just really, it goes right to my love of the end of Two Lane Blacktop and the French Connection and all these things of, we've seen the section of the story that we came to see and it's over and it doesn't matter what happens next because we've seen this character cannot grow or whatever, whatever the story is.
Right.
And that's a tricky, to take it from, I don't know how the book ends, but I feel like that's why so many great adaptations are from short stories instead of novels. Novellas make so much better script adaptations.
Yeah, long enough to, have kind of a beginning, middle, and end that you can stretch over 2 hours, but not so long that you have to cut all the meat out to try and squeeze it into that time frame. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it makes me think about some of the pessimism of the 70s, maybe that because I feel like a lot of that is how I describe cinema from the 90s, where they would take movies from the 70s, but they would be able to do it with the technology available, the film stocks that could shoot much lower lights, and be able to clean it up a little bit because of the way that also the home video market existed at that time. You could get this huge wave of independent and mid-budget movies,
mid-budget.
That aren't aimed at hitting all four quadrants or only for kids or whatever it is.
Yeah, such an amazing time.
But what was interesting was that in thinking about that, the way you were describing the 70s is kind of how I thought about the 90s. But then in the 90s, there was often an optimism to them that was so present or not present in the 70s. It was just the opposite. You know what I mean? It's like they took that pessimism from the 70s and then kind of laid over a type of optimism on it.
Yeah. It's a really interesting way to think about the generational influences on the filmmakers and then how they push back to us depending on these technology changes and things too. I mean, the way that they handled sound in Europe is the reason the French New Wave has the feel it does, because they're shooting with loud, noisy cameras that are small and not the size of a phone booth. So now we can be in the apartment and we can light it with strips of bulbs and pieces of batten versus, back here we're like, no, we have to have sync sound, and sync sound requires this camera that weighs as much as an engine block, and we're just going to move that around. And then you get into Lars von Trier and Mini DV and all these other these little points along the way.
Even David Lynch did a Mini DV, didn't he? Was it?
Oh, did he?
Inland Empire. Yeah.
Inland Empire.
Right. Yeah. I forgot about that. I was thinking about the. I always forget the word. It's the trilogy of three movies. Is it All the President's Men, Parallax View, and
the Paranoia trilogy?
Yeah, the Paranoia trilogy. Yeah.
Wait, what was the third one?
Clute.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
good times. Those movies.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Chipper. Yeah.
Didn't Gordon Willis shoot all those?
Yeah, some guy named Gordon Willis.
Yeah.
Some cinematographer and some people know about. If you're really into underground movies.
You've probably never heard of him, yeah.
Never heard of him. My favorite thing in the Oscars that we only need to talk about this one aspect of it is when everyone came out for the Godfather thing and they cut to Spielberg taking out his phone to take a photo of what was happening on stage. I was like, yes!
Yeah, even he's a fan. Yeah, exactly.
That guy is not taking his phone out to take photos of much.
Godfather, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
I don't know if this is going to close us or open another Pandora's box, but did you guys notice who the second AD was on Straight Time?
Oh, no. Who is it?
I saw the name pop up on the credits. I was like, what? Is that the same guy? It's Larry Franco, who was the producer on all of the 80s Carpenter films.
Yeah.
As well as Batman Returns. So The Thing,
and Mars
Escape from New York. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so cool. He produced Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Jiminy Crickets. Be nice to your crew, people.
Yeah. You may be working for him one day.
I've always thought, like, there's no reason to ever be mean to a PA, but if you're the type of person that's thinking about it, at least think of your future.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll stop you from being an asshole. I mean,
right.
That's a great point to leave the show on, by the way. Don't be an asshole.
Please, for the love of God.
Yeah. Because that person may come up to you and bear hug you at some point. And,
exactly. Yeah, you don't want the bear.
You don't want that.
Give me a big bear hug. Just forget it.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, you were wrong, though, you know.
I know it. I'm sorry. Shit.
It was so nice to revisit this movie. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I'm really glad you guys asked me to do that. It was really wonderful.
Thanks again for joining. This was absolutely incredible, and I'm really excited about next episode now that we can finally get into it. We're doing it, right? Time is Luck. That's the next episode,
That's it.
right? Okay, so
Time is Luck.
I love that next time we're doing our show, we went from Straight Time, which had a little bit of Michael Mann in here, and now we're going to do a lot of Michael Mann. We're going to do Time is Luck, Thief, Manhunter, and Heat. Woo! That's going to be a hell of a block. Yeah.
Yes. Patrick was doing some ASL for I don't know, what was that? Give me more.
It's this thing we do at it's not ASL. I think it's more. Yeah,
okay,
it's more. I think that's more, but in my family we touch our fingertips together like
Oh, it's the little kid version of Mr. Burns, yeah.
Exactly, or the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the theme of Time as Luck is it runs definitely through a lot of Michael Mann's work. Through these in particular, sort of these sort of I don't know, the height of his sort of crime films, I think, for me, peaking with Heat, going from Thief, Manhunter, and Heat, that theme is expressed in all three of them, and it will be interesting to go through all that. And then finally, running joke on this podcast, we'll finally get Brian to watch Heat, so...
I'm honored to be a part of that announcement.
Yeah.
The world has been clamoring for you to see this movie.
Yeah, I almost want to apologize to the world for not seeing it up to now.
No, it's such a great opportunity.
No, it's going to be great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it. I feel like I know it so well after just talking about it on the show and little references and things, but it
won't live up to it now.
Exactly. Well, and you will be one of 30 people in the world who have seen LA Takedown before watching Heat.
Yeah, or even heard of LA Takedown.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah.
LA what now?
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that movie. I really liked LA Takedown. So I'm excited to see what the second draft of it is. Yeah.
Wait for the second draft. Exactly.
Great ass!
Patrick, thank you so much again for joining us. Is there anything we should be looking out for that you're working on or what's going on with you? Tell us.
Yes, in early May is going to be the launch of Bosch Legacy, which is the Bosch spin-off. I make little air quotes as I say that because Harry Bosch is still in that show.
Okay.
Let's be honest, it's the next season, but okay.
It's the next season of Bosch, but it is a whole new chapter of his career following what happens in the books where he becomes a private investigator.
Where is this airing or streaming?
It'll be on IMDb. It'll be streaming on IMDb.
Right on.
IMDb is going to do this brand new thing, guys. You're going to be able to watch it for free, but you're going to have to watch commercials. It's never been done.
Never
before.
heard of this idea. This is wild. Ad supported video.
Yeah, for free.
Ad supported content. Yes.
Wow.
Well, thank you again, Patrick. Love
so happy
talking
to be
movies
here.
with you. We'll definitely have to at least figure out watching Heat with you, talking about it, or I don't know what it is, but I feel like we need to get a big group on talking about Heat.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's a lot of people that I owe some conversation to here.
I think it becomes we rent out a theater. It becomes a panel discussion with questions from the audience. Everyone in the audience knows you. We all get one question apiece. Yeah. Why on earth has it taken this long? It has to be off the table, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to review all the questions prior to going up on stage, please.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
For sure. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on all the podcasts and social platforms at the Grindhouse Institute. And if you really want to give us a boost, check us out on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps us to get noticed. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Ciao.
All right, let's do this. How's the vibe?
Everything's all right. A lot of traffic, a lot of people.
I'd kiss you, but you're too ugly.